Burkina Faso has been thrown into a moment of high tension after authorities announced that an attempted coup targeting interim President Captain Ibrahim Traore had been uncovered and stopped. The news, described by officials as a serious threat to national stability, has spread quickly across the country and beyond, raising fears of renewed instability in a nation already facing deep security and political challenges. What's made the situation even more sensitive is the accusation by Burkinabe officials that foreign actors, including France, may be linked to the plot. According to government statements, security forces detected unusual movements and communications among a group of soldiers and civilians believed to be planning to overthrow the current leadership. Officials say the plot was disrupted before it could be carried out, and several arrests were made. While details remain limited, the authorities insist the threat was real and carefully organized. The government has urged citizens to remain calm while investigations continue. President Traore, who came to power through a military takeover in 2022, addressed the nation shortly after the announcement. He described the alleged coup attempt as an attack on Burkina Faso's sovereignty and a betrayal during a time when the country is fighting armed groups and trying to rebuild national unity. His message was firm and emotional, emphasizing that the state would not tolerate actions that threatened the survival of the nation. The accusation involving France has drawn immediate international attention. Officials in Ouagadougou have suggested that external forces unhappy with Burkina Faso's recent political direction may be working behind the scenes to destabilize the government. France, the former colonial power, has strongly denied such claims in similar situations in the past, and there is no publicly verified evidence so far linking Paris directly to the alleged plot. However, the accusation reflects long-standing mistrust between the two countries. For many Burkinabe citizens, the news has reopened old wounds. Burkina Faso has experienced multiple coups in recent years, each one disrupting daily life and weakening institutions. The idea that another attempt could occur highlights how fragile the situation remains, even under a government that promised security and independence from foreign influence. This part sets the scene for a developing story with serious implications. It is not only about an alleged coup attempt, but about power, trust, and the struggle for control in a country at the center of regional change. In the next part, we will look more closely at President Traore's rise to power and why his leadership has become so controversial both at home and abroad.
To understand why an alleged coup attempt against President Ibrahim Traore carries such weight, it is important to look at who he is and what he represents in today's Burkina Faso. Traore, a young army captain, rose to power in September 2022 after leading a military takeover that removed the previous interim government. At the time, he promised to restore security, defend national sovereignty, and break with policies that many citizens believed had failed. Traore quickly gained popularity among sections of the population, especially young people and those frustrated by years of violence and foreign influence. His speeches emphasized dignity, independence, and the need for Burkina Faso to rely more on itself and its African partners. He openly criticized past cooperation with Western powers, particularly France, which had long been involved in security operations in the country. However, his leadership has also been controversial. Critics argue that military rule has not yet delivered the promised improvements in security and governance. Armed groups remain active across large parts of the country, and millions of people have been displaced. Some opposition voices say that concentrating power in the hands of the military risks silencing dissent and delaying a return to civilian rule. Internationally, Traore's stance has changed Burkina Faso's relationships. The country has reduced cooperation with France and moved closer to other partners, including neighboring Sahel states that share similar views on sovereignty and security. This shift has been welcomed by supporters as a bold step toward independence, but viewed by others as risky and isolating. These changes have made Traoré both a symbol of hope and a target of opposition. For his supporters, any attempt to remove him is seen as an effort to reverse a new path for Burkina Faso. For his critics, instability under military rule creates openings for power struggles within the state. This part shows why the alleged coup attempt cannot be seen as an isolated incident. It is tied directly to the political direction Traoré has chosen and the strong reactions it has triggered. In the next part, we will examine the specific accusations against France and why they resonate so strongly in Burkina Faso and across Africa.
The accusation that France may be linked to the alleged coup attempt has added a powerful and emotional layer to the crisis. For Burkinabe authorities, the claim is not only about a single event, but about a long and troubled relationship that many citizens believe has failed to bring peace or respect. Even without publicly presented proof, the charge resonates deeply because it fits into a wider story that many in the country already believe. France has played a major role in Burkina Faso and the wider Sahel for years, especially through military operations aimed at fighting armed groups. While these missions were launched with the stated goal of supporting local governments, violence continued to spread and public frustration grew. Many Burkinabe began to question whether foreign troops were truly helping or whether their presence was serving other interests. Since coming to power, President Traoré has taken a clear position against what he describes as unequal and outdated relationships with former colonial powers. He has argued that Burkina Faso must control its own security and political future. This position has been popular with citizens who feel their country has paid a high price without seeing lasting results. As relations cooled, French forces were asked to leave, marking a sharp break with the past. In this context, any sign of instability is quickly linked to foreign interference in the public mind. Officials in Ouagadougou suggest that countries unhappy with Burkina Faso's new direction may be trying to influence events from behind the scenes. France has firmly rejected such accusations in similar situations across the region, saying it respects African sovereignty and does not interfere in internal politics. Analysts caution that accusations without clear evidence risk inflaming tensions and closing the door to dialogue. However, they also note that distrust did not appear overnight. It has been built over years of unmet expectations, security failures, and a feeling among many Africans that their voices were ignored. This part explains why the claims against France, even if unproven, carry such weight. They reflect a deeper struggle over influence, memory, and power in Africa. In the next part, we will look at how this alleged coup attempt is affecting security inside Burkina Faso and what it means for an already fragile region. The alleged coup attempt has placed Burkina Faso's security forces on high alert, deepening concerns in a country already under immense pressure. Authorities say the discovery of the plot forced them to act quickly to prevent chaos, especially in the capital and key military locations. Increased patrols, checkpoints, and surveillance have been reported as the government works to reassure the public that the situation is under control. For a nation battling armed groups across large rural areas, the timing of the alleged coup attempt is especially worrying. Security analysts warn that political instability can weaken the fight against these groups, giving them opportunities to expand or launch new attacks. Even rumors of division within the military can damage morale and distract from urgent security operations on the front lines. Citizens have responded with a mix of fear and determination. Many remember how previous coups disrupted daily life, closed schools, halted businesses, and created uncertainty. At the same time, supporters of President Traoré have taken to public spaces and social media to express loyalty, calling for unity against what they describe as internal betrayal and external pressure. The government insists that it remains firmly in control and that the majority of the armed forces are loyal. Officials say investigations are ongoing to identify everyone involved in the alleged plot, promising that justice will be served through legal processes. This message is aimed at preventing panic and discouraging further attempts at destabilization. Regional observers are also watching closely. Burkina Faso's instability affects neighboring countries already struggling with similar security challenges. Any major breakdown in order could have ripple effects, including increased displacement and cross-border threats. This part highlights how fragile the situation remains. The alleged coup attempt is not just a political event, but a security risk with real consequences for millions of people. In the next part, we will explore how African governments and the international community are responding to the crisis and what it means for diplomacy in the region.
The news of the alleged coup attempt and the accusations against France has drawn strong reactions from across Africa and beyond. Governments in the region are following events in Burkina Faso with great concern, aware that instability in one Sahel country can quickly affect others. Several African leaders have called for calm, urging dialogue, restraint, and respect for national sovereignty while investigations continue. Within Africa, the situation has reignited debate about foreign influence and self-determination. In countries that have experienced similar political changes, many citizens see Burkina Faso's struggle as part of a wider movement to reclaim control over national affairs. Supporters of President Traoré argue that repeated attempts to destabilize governments that challenge old power structures only strengthen public anger and resistance. Others warn that constant political tension risks weakening states that are already under pressure from violence and poverty. France has responded cautiously, rejecting any involvement in the alleged plot and repeating its position that it does not interfere in the internal politics of African nations. French officials say accusations without evidence damage diplomatic relations and distract from the real security challenges facing the region. Despite this, trust between Paris and Ouagadougou remains very low, and relations show little sign of quick repair. International organizations and partners have taken a careful stance. Most have avoided direct accusations or support, instead emphasizing the need for stability, rule of law, and protection of civilians. Behind the scenes, diplomats are concerned that rising anti-foreign sentiment could further divide the region and complicate efforts to address security and humanitarian crises. This part shows that this crisis is not contained within Burkina Faso's borders. It has become part of a larger conversation about Africa's future, foreign partnerships, and the cost of political instability. In the final part, we will look ahead to what this moment could mean for President Traoré's rule, Burkina Faso's path forward, and the balance of power in Africa and the world. As Burkina Faso moves forward after the alleged coup attempt, the road ahead remains uncertain and difficult. President Ibrahim Traoré now faces the challenge of strengthening security while also restoring confidence within the military and among civilians. His leadership will be closely tested by how transparently the investigation is handled and whether the government can prove its claims while avoiding further division inside the country. For many Burkina-based citizens, this moment is about more than one failed plot. It reflects a deeper struggle over who controls the nation's future. Supporters of the current leadership believe the crisis has exposed hidden forces working against African independence, and they argue that standing firm now could mark a turning point toward stronger sovereignty. Critics, however, fear that constant threats and accusations may lead to tighter control, reduced freedoms, and prolonged instability. The situation also sends a powerful message across Africa. Other countries watching Burkina Faso see both a warning and a lesson. Political change that challenges long-standing foreign relationships can bring strong resistance, but it can also inspire wider debates about independence, partnerships, and national pride. How Burkina Faso survives this period may influence decisions in other African capitals. For the wider world, the events highlight the fragile balance in the Sahel. Global powers have strategic interests in the region, from security to resources, but growing distrust means traditional approaches may no longer work. The crisis shows that Africa's political landscape is shifting, and foreign actors must adapt to leaders and populations demanding greater respect and equality. This part closes this story with an open question. Burkina Faso stands at a crossroads, facing danger but also possibility. Whether this moment leads to deeper instability or a stronger, more independent future will depend on choices made now, not only by its leaders, but by Africa and the world watching closely.